Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, Let Her Create, where I'm sharing with you my creative journey through Affinity Designer, Procreate, and any other thing that I can think of. And today I'm making polymer clay hoops using my scraps. And I'll be totally honest, this is my first voiceover. As I was recording, I had the laundry going. I have a construction site near where I live, so there's a lot of that going on, as well as living by a busy street. So let's get into it. So as you can see, I am conditioning my polymer clay pieces from the last video. Like, I keep little stacks of clay all around my little glass mat that I work on, because I never know when I need a scrap. So I'm just using the scraps that I have there, along with some old cane pieces that I had, to create a set of hoop earrings. I thought it'd be really fun, and I love polymer clay hoops because they're really light. So I am adjusting my little roll, and I'm making sure there's no air in it, and I'm also getting the unfinished ends off, and I'm rolling again to make a longer snake, because I'm going to cover it with the old cane that I have there on top of my acrylic sheet that I'm using to roll it with. And this is really cool, and because you can use your scraps to the best of your abilities. Like, really, with polymer clay, there is no scraps, or there is nothing that goes to waste. I shouldn't say there's no scraps, but there's nothing that has to go to waste. And so I'm just finding other pieces. Like, I made an orange cane the other day, and that little tiny piece there is what was left from one of the ends that I cut off. So I'm just getting my snakes together that I'm gonna roll. And the reason why I'm spending so much time doing that is to condition it, and then I just mixed two different stacks together, and for whatever reason I wanted it to be nicely blended. Not that it mattered, because you're not even going to see that part, but that's okay. And so I'm finishing my ends of the clay. I'm rolling again and rolling some more. Okay, and now I'm laying that to the side. So I don't have fancy hoop makers, so what I end up doing is using my clay cutters, because they can go in the oven and hold the shape, and it's just really easy. And I found that, like, I guess I bought more than one set, or maybe I was buying another set of something. And when you're new to polymer clay, like especially if you're on Amazon, they give you sets and sets, like you get the same pieces over. So I'm just using those to bake on. Here I am laying out this old cane. Like, I let it sit up for so long, I kind of forgot about it. I had a technique in mind when it was fresher, and I had cut it up and put white acrylic paint in it, and it was supposed to make this really cool design. And then I think I was just kind of tired of looking at that entire series that I did, so I just left it alone for about maybe around roughly 3 weeks, I'll say. So I am lining it up, kind of seeing how I want the piece, the slab, because now I'm trying to get into a slab, how I want it to lay over the earrings. There really isn't any rhyme or reason. My clay cutter is off camera, and I'm still trying to condition the clay because it crumbles. So if you're new to polymer clay, it will crumble on the edges. The edges are a good indicator to letting you know how conditioned the clay is. And that's just it's a tip that I picked up along the way from like one of these really serious polymer clay, like it was a polymer clay tutorial, I believe, that made that come. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. But yeah, so here we are. So I'm just laying my slab out, and I am just sticking it or wrapping it around my snake. I'm gonna cut off the portions that I don't need. Now this is like similar to making a jelly roll or something like that, because I'm using the indentation that it makes to measure, and then I am cutting the snake off because I still have to roll the slab onto the snake, if that makes any kind of sense. So that still has to be smoothed out. So there's nothing, I'm just going to roll everything kind of at once. I'm checking my watch to make sure that I'm in frame, because I've realized that when I'm recording, sometimes I am out of frame doing things, and you know, it's just kind of weird. Like, I'm still working on my video setup, which is really kind of fun. I have more control over creating flat lays and things like that, and doing an overhead presentation. And you didn't get a chance to see me rolling out the clay onto the slab because my camera cut off. But now you're going to see me wrapping it around the clay cutter. And I just kind of straighten up the end. You don't have to, because when you're finished with the earrings after they've baked, you are going to finish those ends because you want it to be flat for the post and your adhering process, whatever that is, whether you use resin or super glue or E6000, whatever your finishing technique is. I am using the first one to measure the length of the second one just because it was easier. And I kind of wanted to have the same amount of clay around the cutter. So I'm wrapping it back around and just kind of getting it to stick as closely as possible to it, because I don't want it to lose its shape, because it'll kind of work itself back off if you don't, compress it a little bit. Now, I use those finger cots to keep from putting fingerprints into the clay, and I run hot. So I know that if I can see my fingerprint inside the finger cot, then I know that I will be too warm for the clay. And it kind of helps keep my fingers from being so hot. It's not even that my lights are hot. I just run really hot. So yeah, I am picking up more pieces, wedging them on the ends, trying to see what else I can make. And I'm gonna speed it up here because it's kind of the same process. And I'll come back when I'm on another step. So now I'm using another piece of scrap clay, and I am going to make a slab out of it so I can put the pieces that are on top of that acrylic on there and then run it again through the foam roller. I'm just basically just trying to figure it out. Like, I didn't have a pre-planned idea. I just knew that I had mastered, or I feel as though I have mastered making hoops, and was really excited about the earrings that I was going to be making. Because all of this, guys, is leading up to my very first pop-up shop with some of the pieces that I have put together. I have decided that I wanted to do pop-up shops and craft shows just because I'm always crafting, and then who knows? I mean, people may really like my earrings. I know I like my earrings, and I do get compliments on them, but whatever, like why not try, especially with today's climate of with everything, you know, all included. Might as well just try some stuff, especially since I enjoy making. So you can see me just putting the pieces onto that gray that I rolled out in the pasta machine. And there's no rhyme or reason. I didn't have a particular pattern in mind. I just wanted to see kind of how it would look. Because like I said, this is old. Like that clay is maybe like 3 weeks old, and I let it kind of sit out on the acrylic, and yeah, it wasn't something that I had to do right then. So I'm just trimming up the slab piece and making sure everything is pressed in. Oh, found the other piece. And pressing it in, and another piece. And a piece of my hair. But yeah, so I wasn't going to run that through the pasta machine at first, but I didn't want it to be lumpy after I wrapped it around the snake. So I decided the best thing to do would be to put it through the pasta machine. And I'm going to tell you, like I said, that clay is 3 weeks old, sitting out in the air, and it needed to be conditioned. And I probably could have squished it a little bit more just to bring some life back to it so it wouldn't have crumbled the way that it did. But I didn't. And I am totally okay with that because there is no waste in polymer clay. So I'm just going to keep rolling that and getting all the little bits that are there together and make it into something else, because I'm still making the hoops and they're still just you know, it's to be covered. So I'm just going to make that and put it inside of the earring instead of on the outside. And I'm rolling it again, and now I have a decent piece that I can work with. And I don't know, I have this thing about the edges. Like I really like my edges to be straight, and so I'm cutting it straight and then putting the crumbled edge into the roll, and I'm just pressing it down. And I didn't do the other side because I was like, how silly. But it doesn't really matter because that is going to go into the roll. And I'm making sure that I am not putting any air into the roll. And now I am going to make another snake. And I was actually going to run this through my extruder, but it broke right when I started using it. So I don't have an extruder anymore. And I was really bummed out by that because I don't know how to fix it. So I guess I'll just have to invest in another one. Maybe I'll spend a little bit more than 10 or 12 bucks, but I don't know. So we'll see what happens. So it has been roughly an hour because I baked these in batches, and I just wanted to show you what the finished pieces look like if you decide to use the clay cutters. Now each piece, or some of the pieces like do have like this shiny bit where it was touching the ceramic tile, and the hack for that is to bake it in cornstarch. It really doesn't bother me because when I put my earrings together, I make sure that part is going to be inside and not where it's going to be seen. But this is what the earrings look like when they're finished. And I was able to use quite a bit of scrap clay and get a lot of it off of my table. There's still quite a bit left, but I really wanted to try different shapes and just to see what I would like, because I do wear a lot of my stuff myself. These by far I think are my favorite. I was instantly inspired by the fabric wrapped earrings when I made these, so we'll see how they go. I'm just gonna put the post here, and I put this black flap over to kind of cover that seam right there. I could have used polymer clay adhesive, but it was okay because I was still going to have to figure out how to adhere or where to put the backing for the earring. So what I'm gonna do now is take you through the final steps of putting together the earrings. I'm not gonna put them all together just because I've had so much go on with videoing and editing today. But I do, like I said, I wanna work on being more consistent, and I am doing a pop-up shop, and I'm getting ready for that experience, and I'm really excited about it. So once you cut your earrings off, and I do put them together one on top of the other, that way I'm cutting them in the same spot. You don't have to use your X-Acto knife. You can actually use your tissue blade, and I'm just turning it around because I didn't clean it off. But it makes a seamless cut, and there you have your polished earrings, like your finished earrings. You just need to apply your adhesive. And I'll cut one more. So I'm gonna line it up as close as possible. I'm not expecting this to be perfect. I didn't make the ends to be completely perfect, and that's okay because I knew I was gonna have to go back and straighten it up for the post. So that's why it didn't matter to me that much. And here's the little bit of waste. Now, you can throw this in the trash if you want to. Some people use this for terrazzo patterns and things like that, or they make like a speckled slab where they shave it off. I haven't made a decision about that, so I might just put these over in one of my little containers and figure out what I'm gonna do with those scraps later, because I may find that I shave them off, or just whatever I decide I want to do with them. So some of these I did take extra time to like cut the ends, and then some of them I didn't. Now this is one of those pieces that it wasn't wrapped fully around the cutter. In fact, I think I took it off, and this is exactly why I prefer to keep the cutter on there, because it tends to, I don't know, it tends to just change a little bit. So, you know, that's that. That'll probably be one that I keep, or that pair, wherever I figure out the other pair or the matches to it. So my square earrings, okay, so when I put those one on top of the other, it did something weird. So what I'm gonna do is just cut them one by one. And I'm gonna cut here, and I'm gonna cut here. And I can put my post on either side. And I'm gonna do the other one, but this time, since it's already cut, making sure I line that up the way that I want it lined up, and now I'm making the cut. Yeah. And I have my extra pieces. I may throw away, probably will. but it's not a lot of material that I feel bad about using, because you see how much I was able to make without opening a fresh pack of clay. So the other ones didn't cut so easily, like it buckled or something, and that's why I didn't cut it on top. But this one didn't. Gathering my pieces, putting them together. So I'm pairing the earrings together, and this goes with this. So it's not too terrible, but you can definitely see the difference between the one that was on the cutter and then the one that wasn't. But it's not going to be a lot of scrap to come off of this one either, because I'm going to try to get it as close as possible to the size of the one that is off the cutter, because that I won't be able to go back and make it rounder. I mean, I guess I could, but why? Why do that when I can just easily just cut? And I'll do my rectangles. So as you can tell, like I had 0, you know, given when I put these together. I really didn't even think about anything. I just decided, hey, this is what it's going to be. So I'm gonna figure out how I want these to be cut. And I'll probably use my other blade, my tissue blade. And I have to take care not to cut through both sides. I had to make a slight adjustment because I was cutting the other side of the earring. So these I'm gonna do here, and I have these. And I may put the bows there or either side, but either way it's balanced. So everything has been cut, and I'm going to show you how I adhere my backs, my posts to the earrings. I don't have any elaborate processes. I have tried using resin. I tried using, I didn't use E6000 because I joined one of those groups, and I joined a local group, and in that group I was educated on why E6000 glue possibly wasn't the best adhesive to use. So I don't use it for polymer clay. So I'm just gonna make sure that my little shiny side is on the inside. And see this, yeah, there it is. So this is the way those go. I use Loctite adhesive, and I'm going to put my dab of adhesive and I'm gonna hold it. Now I hold the earring. One time I laid it on its side, and I guess because I had put so much adhesive, it kind of slid a little, and I don't want it to slide. So I'm just gonna hold it. And then I'm going to try and see if I can balance it in one of the cutters. There we go. So that's how I keep it straight. So again, that process looks like this. Got my Loctite. Got my adhesive. And set it up and forget it. Nah, I don't forget it. But you know what I mean. So that one doesn't want to balance on its own. So this one, yeah, it is adhered. Ah, no, it wasn't. Moving too fast. So I'm gonna put my Loctite up. Well, no, I'm gonna finish another pair. And I'm taking care to look for that glossy part from where it was on the surface contact part from the ceramic tile that it bakes on. That way I can make sure that will not be showing. And it's not that big a deal if it does. It's just something I don't want to see when I wear them. So when I first started making the hoops, I would put the UV resin on the end, but I find that I really don't like that. And then I would bake it. It really depends on your preference. I probably won't bake these because once the Loctite is set, it's set. I tried to dismantle a pair of earrings and it didn't bode well. Like the clay tore. Like it was a whole experience. So I'm pretty confident that this is the right adhesive for this project. And then I don't think that it looks too terrible. So, and there you have it. So I think I have one of every one that I did, a small, the medium, and the large. I am really liking these. I haven't decided if I'm going to make these clip-ons or regular. So I'm going to just set these over to the side and see how I feel later. I thank you for joining me for this tutorial. If you stayed to the end, thank you. If you at least watched a little bit of the video, thank you. I hope to see you again. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Leave me comments below. I can answer. I love answering questions. And I also get feedback on what kind of videos you'd like to see next. I am working on more Procreate videos. I wanted to just kind of get something out there really quickly when I posted the video the other day. And I have tons of, I guess, tons of material, tons of content. I just need to sit down and get it done and get it edited. And the editing is the longest part of any of the process. It's not even making the earrings and stuff.